Listen, I need to be straight with you about something that's been eating at me. We're sitting here in the middle of November, watching this team celebrate back-to-back championships, and somehow it doesn't feel like enough. That's the curse of being a Dodgers fan, isn't it? You win everything, and the very next morning, you're already thinking about what's missing, what needs fixing, what could go wrong. And right now, there are two massive storylines unfolding that have me completely wired, and I can't tell if I should be excited or terrified. Shohei Ohtani just won his second consecutive MVP award. Let that sink in for a second. This guy is rewriting the rulebook on what's possible in baseball, and he's doing it in Dodger blue. But here's what's really got my attention. He's not satisfied with what he's already accomplished. He wants to pitch the entire 2026 season. Not a few spot starts here and there, not a cautious workload. The whole thing, from opening day through October. When he says something like that, you better believe everyone, from the front office to the training staff to the fans sitting in the bleachers at Chavez Ravine, is paying attention. Think about what we watched in 2025. Ohtani came back to the mound in June against the Padres after all that rehab, all that uncertainty about whether his arm would ever be the same. That debut was short, just an inning, but it was symbolic. It was proof that he could still do this, that the injury hadn't stolen his gift. Over 47 innings, he posted a 2.87 ERA, and even though he was clearly being careful, working his way back gradually, you could see the dominance was still there. The stuff hadn't disappeared. The command was returning. And now he's telling us he wants more. But here's where my brain starts spinning. When a player of this magnitude talks about pitching a full season, especially someone coming back from a significant injury, there's always that voice in the back of your head whispering about what could go wrong. We've seen superstars make bold declarations before. We've watched careers derail because someone pushed too hard, too fast. And with Ohtani, the stakes are impossibly high because he's not just any player. He's a generational talent doing things nobody else can do. And if something happens to that arm, if he breaks down trying to give us everything, the entire trajectory of this team changes overnight. The front office has to be thinking about this constantly. How do you protect an asset this valuable while still letting him do what makes him special? How do you build a rotation around someone who wants to carry a full workload, but whose health has been questioned? And more importantly, how do you manage expectations when your fan base is already imagining a 2026 season where Ohtani is hitting 40 home runs and throwing 180 innings of elite pitching? That's the dream scenario, the one where everything clicks perfectly and Los Angeles becomes absolutely unstoppable. But dreams like that come with massive risk. What really gets me thinking is what this means for roster construction. If Ohtani is going to be a full-time starting pitcher, that changes everything. The rotation suddenly looks deeper, which means maybe the Dodgers don't need to go out and spend huge money on another frontline starter. Maybe they can allocate those resources elsewhere, shore up other weaknesses, attack the bullpen problem that's been haunting them for years. Or maybe having Ohtani as a guaranteed rotation piece gives them the confidence to make a big splash somewhere else, to add that one missing piece that turns a great team into a dynasty. The emotional weight of all this is intense. Dodgers fans have been living in this heightened state since Ohtani signed, knowing they have something special, but also terrified it could slip away. Every time he steps on the mound, there's this collective holding of breath. This moment where everyone's thinking, please let him stay healthy. Please let this work. And now he's promising us a full season, which means an entire year of that anxiety mixed with that electric anticipation. It's exhausting just thinking about it, but it's also exactly why we love this game. Now, while everyone's focused on Ohtani and what he means for 2026, there's another story bubbling up that could dramatically shift how this offseason plays out. Raisel Iglesias, the closer who became Atlanta's security blanket in the back half of 2025, is suddenly in play. And guess who's reportedly interested? Yeah, the Dodgers are lurking. And that has massive implications for multiple teams across baseball. Atlanta's situation is fascinating because they're in this weird spot where they're clearly still trying to compete, but also dealing with some real structural issues. Their season fell apart in ways nobody predicted, and now they're scrambling to rebuild on the fly. Shortstop is a mess. The rotation needs help. And the bullpen, which should be anchored by Iglesias, suddenly feels unstable because they might not be able to afford to keep him. That's the reality for most teams in this league. You find something that works, and then the market dictates whether you get to keep it. But here's where it gets interesting. The Dodgers have been desperate for ninth inning stability since Kenley Jansen walked away. They've tried Treinen, who's been solid but inconsistent. They looked at Tanner Scott. Kirby Yates showed flashes but couldn't stay healthy. Every October, the same issue pops up. Can they trust anyone to close out these high leverage games when everything's on the line? And the answer keeps coming back negative, which is insane for a team with this much talent and this much payroll flexibility. So when rumors start swirling that Los Angeles has its eyes on Iglesias, it makes perfect sense. He's been elite. He's got playoff experience. He's the kind of proven closer who could finally put that issue to rest. But the Dodgers aren't just looking at Iglesias. Names like Devin Williams, Edwin Diaz, and Robert Suarez are also floating around, which tells you the front office is serious about fixing this problem. They're not messing around with reclamation projects or hoping some internal option magically figures it out. They want someone who can handle the moment, and they're willing to pay for it. What's wild about this whole situation is the effect the Dodgers have just by being involved. When Los Angeles enters the conversation for any player, the market shifts. Other teams have to reassess their offers. Agents use that leverage to drive up prices. Suddenly, a player who might have signed for a certain amount now commands more because there's a bidding war brewing. It's the reality of being a big market giant. Your presence alone changes the game, even if you don't end up making the move. For Atlanta, this has to be nerve-wracking. They want to keep Iglesias, but if the Dodgers come in with a serious offer, how do they compete? Their financial situation isn't as flexible. They've got holes everywhere and limited resources to fill them. Losing Iglesias would be devastating because it would mean their bullpen, which was already shaky, becomes a complete disaster heading into 2026. But trying to match whatever Los Angeles puts on the table could mean sacrificing upgrades at other positions. It's an impossible choice, and that's exactly the kind of pressure the Dodgers create. What strikes me most about this closer pursuit is how it reflects where the organization is right now. They've won back-to-back championships, but they're not satisfied. They're not taking their foot off the gas. They're looking at the roster with clear eyes, identifying the weak spots, and attacking them aggressively. That ninth inning has cost them before. Not this year, obviously, but in previous seasons, when games slipped away late, when closers crumbled under pressure, when October became a nightmare. They remember those moments, and they're determined not to let it happen again. The fan base feels this urgency differently. We've been conditioned to expect excellence, to demand perfection, to nitpick every decision because the standard is just that high. So when rumors emerge about going after a top-tier closer, there's immediate excitement, but also skepticism. Will they actually pull the trigger? Is this real interest, or just the Dodgers driving up the price for a rival? And even if they do land someone like Iglesias, can we trust that it'll actually solve the problem? Or are we setting ourselves up for more heartbreak down the line? When you step back and look at these two stories together, what you see is a franchise operating on multiple levels simultaneously. They've got Ohtani promising to deliver something unprecedented in 2026, which raises the ceiling astronomically. And they've got the front office actively working to eliminate weaknesses, to patch holes, to ensure there are no excuses when next October rolls around. It's ambition, meeting strategy, hope colliding with pragmatism, and all of it happening while the rest of baseball watches nervously. Being a Dodgers fan right now means living in this constant state of elevated expectations. It means celebrating championships, but immediately asking, what's next? It means watching Ohtani lift another MVP trophy and thinking, okay, now show us what you can really do. It means seeing closer rumors and thinking, finally, maybe this is the year they fix it for good. It's exhausting and exhilarating in equal measure, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.